Jadi pandu ibuku, Indonesia kebangsaanku, bangsa dan tanah airku. Marilah kita berseru, Indonesia bersatu. Hiduplah tanahku, hiduplah negeriku, bangsaku, rakyatku semuanya. Bangunlah jiwanya, bangunlah badannya untuk Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, tanahku, negeriku yang ku cinta. Indonesia Raya, merdeka, merdeka, hiduplah Indonesia Raya.
Thank you, Nadia. Now, ladies and gentlemen, class of 2017, please be seated. It is my pleasure to invite the first of our student speakers, Daria Constantinescu, to the podium to deliver her welcoming address. All right. 4 years, 1,460 days, more than 2 million minutes, and a majority of those spent with one another. My friends, we've spent a lot of time together, to say the least. We have grown, we have changed, we have become the people on the stage today, and we were all there for one another. Starting from terrified freshmen whose biggest fear was trying to decipher Shakespeare to sleep-deprived seniors trying to interpret course guides and marking schemes, like our lives depended on it, and to be completely fair, they did. But here we are, after far too many sleepless nights. We are here, all together, one last time. The slope gradient from the purple freshman to the senior black is anything but easy. But nonetheless, right now, in this little time we have left as a class, as friends, as a family, let's take this time to simply be. Now, let's forget all of the bad that there was and remember all of the good, because there was plenty. In these last 2 hours we have together as a senior class of 2017, the final countdown before our caps go flying in the air, let's take this time, again, to take a deep breath and simply be. To look out into this audience at the faces that we've known all our lives, the faces that knew us before we even knew ourselves. Look around you at your friends who have made you who you are today, and who have made your time here the best it could have possibly been. Think of all the faculty and all the time that they've given to have you become your best self and be ready to take on the world. Think of the Dragon Fountain, this theater, this great big city, and all the time you've had here, and how it's been your grandest adventure yet. My dear friends, today we creep into the last few moments of high school as we remember the awkward trial period that was freshman year, the stumble across sophomore year, and the joint panic of junior year that no one was ready for, to be completely honest. To now, senior year. where time went so slow, but it also flew right past us. Here's to those weeks that could not drag on any longer, and to all those laughs and moments of happiness that just weren't long enough. Yes, to some of us this may be a goodbye. To others, I see you soon. But to all of us, and from all of us, this is a thank you. So, let's take these last few moments, take a deep breath, and be thankful. And remember all of the good, and hey, even all of the bad. All that made us who we are today. Class of 2017, here's to one last together. Thank you.
Thank you, Daria, for that warm welcome. It is now my pleasure to hand over to Mr. Steve Clark, our high school principal, to speak for the last time to the class of 2017.
Good evening, family and friends of our graduating class of 2017. It is my pleasure to provide some opening remarks for this celebration of a special rite of passage in the lives of your children. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself to experience something special. This evening you will hear from our student speakers about their hopes and dreams, delivered with such conviction that you can't help but be inspired. They will talk passionately of the way this class truly embodies our mission, vision and values. Now, from the vantage point of a watchful sentinel who has witnessed this class emerge impressively since their freshman year, I would like to share my humble observations. Like some rare plants found in central Sumatra that can take up to 12 years to burst into bloom, the class of 2017 has indeed blossomed to impact the school in so many ways this year. As they have matured, they have found their confidence, and as they have found their confidence, they have tackled challenges head on and come out of the battle a little bruised, but nevertheless victorious. Even though at times many of them became so overwhelmed, almost to the point of giving up, they never did. Because they knew that we had their backs. Because our school community is an aggregation of wonderful relationships built on trust and an absolute belief in each other. We hunker together in the trenches when we need to, and we dance in the rain when the spirit of Naga is upon us. All members of our community know that graduating from JIS is no mere thing. It is tough to reach the high standards we set as a school, both academically and as responsible citizens of our planet. It is made tougher that the beautifully chaotic and sometimes unforgiving city that is Jakarta demands early nights, but we don't get them. It demands late mornings, but we never get them. It demands endless patience and survivalism in its truest form, and yet here they are, the mighty class of 2017. Our very own guardians of the galaxy, powerful in their collective wisdom, united in important issues such as tolerance, compassion and environmental responsibility, and yet remaining decent and humble young people throughout their formative years. And there are some very special characteristics of this class. How wonderfully coincidental that in the year 2017 we have exactly 217 graduates. That's one student for every decade of modern history. You might enjoy that fact. What an amazing story that two JIS alumni who fell in love in Bali during spring break are here this evening to watch their beautiful daughter graduate. How many times have we had a set of triplets and 2 sets of twins graduate in the same year? 99 was a very fertile year indeed, methinks. How special it is that the chairman of our school board will get to listen to his son deliver the valedictorian speech. Whether your son or daughter has been at JIS for 1 year or for 14, as some of them have, we are blessed that they have spent their time with this class. However, for all the wonderful things we have done to prepare these students for their exciting future ahead, I feel there is one skill that we could have done better, and one that I'd like to encourage now. To be successful in a competitive society, we invest a huge amount of time, energy and money, mostly for our futures. It always seems to be about the next big thing. Often the currency we use to achieve this success is the happiness from living in the now. I don't think we've taught our children, or perhaps ourselves, how to spend enough time in the present and how to gain happiness from the now. Let's begin to do that. There exists in Japanese culture a tea ceremony called Chanoyu, which celebrates the fact that this moment with this person in this place will never happen again. Let's take the time to enjoy this moment, to savour this graduation ceremony like Chanoyu. Let's draw upon every memory we have of our sons and daughters as they walk proudly across the stage to receive their diplomas. I'll leave you with the words of Walt Whitman, who once said, "Happiness, not in another place, but this place. Not for another hour, but for this hour." Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to truly enjoy tonight's graduation ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve. Our next student speaker is Class of 2017 President Kira Knox.
Let me begin by saying that my words are directed to the 217 bright and beautiful people to my right. My peers and friends, I want to talk about love with you. This is not the usual love seen in movies, on our campus, or within our families. This is about loving everyone, everywhere, every when. It is my own philosophy that was taught to me by a dear mentor who told me it is our responsibility to love all despite who they were, who they will be, who they are now. And now, I want to pass this lesson on to you. In everything I talk about, these words appear because they hold the core of truth that must be repeated whenever possible. Because the world we live in is filled with tragedies, like war, hate, pain, famine, plague, racism, intolerance, ignorance, and much more. Across the sea sits the Fertile Crescent, and just left at that center stands Syria, a place of extraordinary history, culture, and people. Unfortunately, we now know that those things are buried beneath rubble. And the people who have lived through these wars, they live in a pain few of us can understand. Their pain turns to hate, which leads to another war, and the cycle repeats endlessly. But the cycle is reversible. If pain and hate and war are the spokes of a wheel that turns forward, then love, kindness, and peace are the spokes of the wheel that turn backwards. But how do you do that? Well, you showcase external love. But what is love? Well, to me at least, Love has always been surrender. You see, we are a society focused on conflict. The only way for anything to be won or solved is by crushing the opposition. This is visible in debates, Facebook comments, the whole internet in general. So when you surrender, when you allow someone to quote unquote win the argument, no matter how small, you stop, confused at your acceptance of their idea. This is loving someone, despite who they are, as you are surrendering your own position, your own pride, to allow another person to cultivate their identity without conflict. By being so accepting, you plant a seed in people's minds. The seed will grow until the people you inspired surrender to one another, therefore loving them. Again and again, the process continues, seeds being sown until a garden of kindness spreads outwards. That's my dream, at least. That one day the world will be just like I described. A place where these seeds have blossomed into a vibrant place, filled with the brightest of colors and the gentlest of petals. In this manner, you all are 217 dandelion seeds being blown to the corners of the world. Yet, there is one more dimension we cannot ignore: internal love. Teenage life is often depicted as a series of melodramatic moments connected by friendship through school. As such, when real issues arise, they are often mislabeled as these melodramatic moments. However, the truth is that teenage life is tumultuous and confusing. Searching for identity can be as painful as it is fulfilling. In that struggle, we often become critical of ourselves, and we lose affection for a vital part of our lives, us. But I never want you to feel that way. So, I suggest you follow this quick and easy tip. Once in a while, when you're leaving that house, before you go to sleep, simply say this: I like who I am. I like who I will be. I like who I was. Now, you may feel stupid doing it the first time, over months, and even years, however long it takes. You'll go through your routine on a normal day and realize the person staring at you from the mirror, you love them. They are so kind. They are so beautiful, so amazing. Their smile can light up their sky, and their heart can hold the world's pain. In truth, I only want you to be loved, and to love others for the world's sake and your own sake. Be the spokes that turn backwards, the gentle petals of a new, vibrant world. I want you to promise that you'll love yourself and the people around you, because that is all we need in our little world right now. People who love. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen, and thank you for that message. Graduation is a time for reflection and revisiting the past. Here to lead you through this task are your classmates, Matthew Ong and Marina Peñanuri.
Tonight, as class historians, we'd like to share some of our history. Could the class of 2017 sitting on the stage please stand up?
Did you ever believe graduation would come this fast? If you came during senior year, please sit down.
In 11th grade, do you remember our very first prom, the anticipation and the excitement of being transported to Paris? If you came during 11th grade, please sit down.
In 10th grade, one of the worst things that came to mind was a hard global perspectives exam, or the choice between IB and AP. If you came during 10th grade, please sit down.
In 9th grade, do you remember losing our very first Shalom games? And remember Project Week, aka the times where we hiked in Nepal, camped under the outback in Australia, jumped off boats in Thailand, or shot a gun in Vietnam. If you came during 9th grade, please sit down.
In middle school, do you remember when Party Rock Anthem blasted from the speakers on the volley stage every Friday during lunchtime? Sit down if you came during middle school, please.
In 4th grade, do you remember hiking up the mountain and seeing craters in Bandung with numerous parent chaperones worrying about our safety? Sit down if you came in 4th or 5th grade.
In 2nd and 3rd grade, do you remember sneaking your Tamagotchis or Game Boys under the desks and playing with them when your teacher wasn't looking? Sit down if you came in 2nd or 3rd grade.
In 1st grade, do you remember running for hours on the playground, playing tag and swinging on the swings? Sit down if you came in 1st grade.
These students who remain standing are the dragons who have been here since prep. Please recognize them. You may sit down now. Thank you. It's hard to speak on the behalf of a class of students with such diverse talents, interests, and backgrounds. But my experience at JIS goes a little along the lines of this. My mornings have always followed the same routine. Walking onto a bus, greeted by the half-asleep faces of other students, I sit by a window, observing the bustling streets of Jakarta. In a matter of what can be minutes or an hour, I am greeted by a green emerald gate. 13 years ago, this was the same sight that greeted me on my first day of school. Tufts of bamboo peeked from behind the green protective gates of what would be my sanctuary in JIS Pattimora for the next few years. Those prehistoric years in elementary instilled in students a reverence for learning that bloomed beyond the four walls of the classroom. We explored the perimeters around the Pattimora tree, started a compost project behind the library, visited the sites of Sunda Kelapa, and rolled around in rice paddies at Pasir Mukti. For those of you who went to Pai, you might also remember playing Chongpak under the Pendopo. This intellectual freedom inspired an eagerness and thoughtfulness to learn. It motivated me to cultivate my own experiences into the person I wanted to be. In my last year in elementary, I wrote in my yearbook that I would always remember the spirit of Pattimora. My teeth grit at the thumbnail of my naive 10-year-old self, accompanied by a wall of Comic Sans text. But on the contrary, I'm surprised at the little nugget of wisdom I seem to carry within me, as my understanding of wisdom, of the idea of spirit, still remains the same today. The same sense of belonging I felt singing the Indonesian national anthem in my kebaya, standing next to my classmates in my small elementary school theater, rushes back inside of me at ceremonies now in high school. As middle schoolers, we relied on this same wave of spirit when it was time to dissipate icy tensions between Pi and Pell students. We discovered the riches of the JIS community in Lido Lake's ESP at Maddox. In middle school, we rushed out of our class to buy that extra time to go to the booster hut and to have a taste of what seemed like high school delicacies. Glancing at the huts, we would try to envision the course of our next 2 years. However, back then, we were oblivious to the fact that time flies fast. Before we knew it, we were walking up the Bali stage, waving goodbye to our teachers and facing the excitement of honor pass and late start, as well as the anxiety of semester exams. Coming to 10th grade, we were constantly reminded that we should enjoy the calm before the storm. And for the next 2 years, the tempest swept us up into a spiral of acronyms like AP, IB, TOK, EE, and IA. But even throughout these times, sympathizing with each other on the size of our under-eye circles or the number of CAF hours we had logged still revoked a reassuring sense of spirit. Knowing that my morning routine will change soon is scary. I see myself standing on the tarmac at Soekarno-Hatta with a deepening sense of gratitude and pride on all that Indonesia and JIS has given me and the wealth of experiences I am taking with me. Most of all, my thoughts flutter to the bench beneath the Pattimora tree, the mossy steps of the Bali stage, and the calming sound of flowing water from the Naga fountain. Celebrate and treasure your experiences when you carry a piece of JIS with you beyond those green gates. Thank you.
We stood there, wearing our Oshkosh shoes, hush puppy shirts, and holding on to our Hot Wheels and Bratz dolls. A bell rings as we enter the elementary classroom. We are nervous, our hands are shaking, and our knees are shaking as well. That was how it felt like as a prep dragon, 5 years old and entering the doors to our new kindergarten class. Back then, I boarded the wild and epic JIS roller coaster ride, and 13 years later, I got off, with a few scares and hiccups in between. Ben 10, High School Musical, iCarly, Jonas Brothers, Disney Channel movie marathons, and Nerf gun wars were cluttered during our elementary school days. No matter if you were nestled underneath the Pattymora tree or were a Paichichak, we were held together by our learning and beliefs to be powerful, carefree, love others, and always have fun. One of the key phrases in the Pattymora song we constantly recited was, "We need to feel we're loved and to know that we belong." From learning to play the gamelan in 3rd grade, to building tabletop cities in the 4th grade, or even acting in schoolhouse rock plays in the 5th grade, I was always told that we were all small jigsaw pieces fit into a larger puzzle. We had to care about others, become selfless, and treat others the way we wanted to be treated. As the roller coaster ascended to the peak, we soon hit the top of the large loop as middle school arrived. We said goodbye to our Pop Tropica and Jungle Gym PE days, and into the era of Lenovo's, Ask.fm, color-coordinated math, and being swarmed by ants on the volley stage, and yes, the pain known as the mile. New kids, Pell kids, and Pi kids all met together to make new friendships. The one thing on every teenager's mind at this point was, who should I ask the middle school dance? We were blessed with Opam Gangnam Style, Komi 2012, and the Nyan Cat in 8th grade, as we texted long, hard hours on our BBMs, pinging each other and updating our statuses every hour. In 7th grade, we hopped on our very first plane ride to Bali, away from our parents, and challenged ourselves to try out rafting, snorkeling, and cycling. Our courses prompted us to make movies in English, garden vegetables and science, and challenge ourselves to always do the hardest math level. We were taught to be fearless, to always step out of our comfort zone and try something new. What goes up must come down, and that is when high school hit. We came down hard, fast, and unexpectedly as we clutched the sides of our seats, holding on for dear life. We were now bigger dragons. Life moved faster as we entered freshman year, where we donated money and poured ice water on our heads. Harlem Shake, whipped, nay, and yes, dab our way into senior year. We were also introduced to the beauty of Booster Hot mac and cheese, blondies, chili, as well as, yes, you know it, honor pass. We were taught to be resourceful, resilient, reflective, and relatable. We applied all those 4 aspects into our Chalana Games performance. After coming in 3rd place last year, we rightfully secured 1st this year after lots of strategizing and hard work. We were soon greeted with the honors known as the IP and AP, as well as sleepless nights procrastinating exam reviews and pondering college paths. We learned to strive through adversity, but through it all, we have survived. After all, we're sitting here and clearly have made it to tonight, our graduation. So let's give another round of applause to this class sitting up here tonight. As someone who has lived, breathed, and experienced the JIS journey, I learned that we are all like Dory in Finding Dory. We have to go out and find our way, drift through challenges, and brave dark oceans. Like Dory, if I ask anyone sitting here tonight to think back to our 1st grade or 11th grade self when we entered JIS, we can all say the same. We've changed. Good change. We've changed from the age of Nokia phones, Oshkosh, and Guess jeans to the age of iPhones, Yeezys, and Babe. We've gone from play dating to spring breaking. But not only in fashion sense did we change, but we also changed in mental aspirations. As years go by, JIS has instilled the idea that life is like quicksilver. It moves fast and unexpectedly. As life changes, so do we. By being selfless and fearless, JIS has helped us adapt and change for the better. We have changed from meek individuals to self-assured ones with aspirations. As the roller coaster comes to a halt, we soon realize it has stopped completely. Today, we all sit here with very different futures, but we are all bound by one thing, our Naga blood deep in our veins. We sit with friends we know for 1 year, or friends we may know for 10 years. Now it is time to go out and write our history, and to be the best that we can be for the world. JIS will always remain in our hearts as our Ruma, our true home. So no matter if we become Bruins, Devils, Trojans, Huskies, Braves, Humans, Bears, Beavers, or whatever mascot we'll be repping in the future, one thing is certain, we will always be JIS Dragons. So tonight, class of 2017, let's celebrate the way a JIS Dragon should. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew and Maria, for those memories. At this point in the evening, I am delighted to introduce our valedictorian, Jacob Standa. Please welcome him to the podium.
I was only told a short while ago that I'd be speaking tonight, and for the most part, I've been researching what I could say tonight. According to the internet, a typical valedictory consists of me transferring advice onto the audience. Unfortunately for you all, I'm pretty bad at giving advice. But I'm not bad at receiving it, or at least I imagine I've gotten better at it. It's impossible to generalize everyone's high school experiences, but I'm positive we've each experienced some high, some low, and probably a whole lot of average. And as a result, we've all learned something unique about ourselves and the world. I'd like to reflect on some of the things that I've learned, the advice I've been given, and afterwards, we'll all hopefully learn something as a result. My dad tells me to speak from the heart. This is hard for me, because my instinct is to speak from the brain. And that's why we went to high school, isn't it? To learn to use our brains well. But for my dad, cultivation of mind was always secondary, the cultivation of character. It was rare for my dad to encourage me to study, but he would always remind me to stand straight, to hold my chin up, to be proud of myself. It took a while before I understood why he said such things, but now I see his point. The only thing in this world that I truly have control over is myself. And from that chicken perspective, everything else seemed to flow naturally for me. I think I turned out okay. My dad gave me advice, but my mom led by example. She's tough. She's the eldest in her family of 6, from a kampung in central Java. It's not the most glamorous of backgrounds, and it's a far cry from Phillipsburg, Montana, population 800, where we lived for while I was young. Without speaking English, without her tight-knit family, without her country, her culture, or her climate, she struggled. She used to tell me stories about her first time exiting an airport in America, where she was terrified at seeing her own breath for the first time, as if she was allergic to the new country. When we lived abroad, she could not speak English at first, and so took lessons, which I remember particularly well, since she often needed my help to write things. In short, she was lost, but she made it work, and she never complained. I think about that before an exam, or a test, or a speech like this one. Maybe those things are stressful, but it isn't real hardship. For me, the typical stressors of high school life, in perspective, seemed unimportant, small, easily conquerable. I think that was my very long-worded way of saying humility. My mother taught me humility, and I'm eternally grateful for her guidance. I would continue with the theme of family, but instead of siblings, I have a cat. Though he didn't give me any direct advice, I think there is a lot that I've learned from him. It's okay to relax and have fun, to take a step back and a couple deep breaths sometimes. That's something I think I realized too late in high school. Of course, we have all learned from more than just our family. I know almost all of us students have at least one teacher that's particularly impacted them. Like for me, the one English teacher who taught me about the inner workings of the African vanilla bean trade, or, as I interpreted it, applying to the importance of passion. Though our contact with them is less frequent, our counselors, our principal, vice principal, and other administration have all shaped our high school experience for the better. And of course, we can't forget about our friends. I think that is the often overlooked strength of the JIS education. JIS is a confluence of individuals, truly committed to the world and to each other. It's what gives the JIS education value. And so to all the aforementioned people, I want to say thank you. To conclude, I'd like to condense my ideas into 3 words: gratitude, humility, and respect. Gratitude for our environment, our parents, our friends. Humility in relation to the world and the universe at large. And respect, not just for others, but for ourselves as well. That's what I learned in high school. And hope that over the last 4 years, we've each learned something equally as important. Thank you.
Thank you. We turn now from talented student speakers to talented student performers. Performing When We Were Young, please welcome to the stage Ione Thompson, Jae-Ho Kim, Soo-Min Kang, and Kyung-ji Nam.
Everybody loves the things you do, from the way you talk to the way you move. Everybody here is watching you, 'cause you feel like home. You're such a dream come true. Myself on
before the conferring of the JIS diplomas, we have one more speech. So we'll wait just a moment until we clear the stage to bring our last student speaker to the stage. We always have our commencement address. This year, please extend your welcome to Ricard Sturberg.
Class of 2017, we are finally here, high school graduation. Now, as JIS students, we don't have the luxuries that the typical American students do. You know, like the American football games on Fridays, or the regular fights in the hallways, or even Coca-Cola vending machines. But we have something else entirely. We have a community unlike any other. Now, most of us have tried our hand at a few high schools, but for the few of you that haven't, trust the rest of us when we say there is no place like JIS. And while we might feel overwhelmed when words like relating and respect get thrown over our heads, I want to talk about how these things have shaped us into who we are today. Not just us individually, every school has outliers. Some schools have more outliers than others, sure, but every school has outliers. It can be a genius everyone expects to get the Nobel Prize. A singer with more potential than Adele. But they don't make this school. The reason JIS is so different is our community. A community of compassion. Compassion central to our core. That's why we're a community that doesn't have the conventional categories of jocks and skaters and cheerleaders. At JIS, every group has a few artists, a few football players, a few techies, and even the occasional discotheque dancers. And although we show compassion within and between these groups of friends, we also care about the society all around us. Because we're a community that lines up through the door to have moms and dads serve us hot mac and cheese every Tuesday. But we're also a community that brings in children every week to play freeze tag on the Chilanda fields, to play basketball in the high school gyms, to learn about software in the computer labs. This is a community that goes out to build houses for those in need, goes out to install solar lamps in the homes of the Central City Village, goes out to listen and serve the elderly, a community that goes out to teach refugees, goes out to save the world from plastics, study the health of marine life, increase the safety of drinking water in poor communities. This is a community that goes out to give. No other school does it like JIS. Not with the same frequency, nor with the same intensity. At JIS, this compassion is inevitable. So whether we want to accept the cliche or not, we embody the best for the world slogan more than we ever think. And if there's anything I urge the class of 2017 to remember about their time here, it is exactly this compassion. And we can't let it stay trapped within the walls of JIS. So scientists, let's focus our research into saving the planet we live on. Engineers, let's tailor our solutions to the underprivileged. Politicians, let's not lie to the people. All right, actually, you might have to lie to the people as a politician, but let's do what we do. Athletes, let's promote gender equality while we're off the field. Lawyers, let's defend those that can't afford legal advice. Let's stand up against those abusing power. Artists, let's inspire others to fight for human rights with our paintings and our music. But above all, whatever your path, as the JIS class of 2017 disperses across the world, let's create communities like JIS. Instill the same compassion. We are the future leaders of the world. Our influence and decisions will shape generations to come. Class of 2017, We're a class of dragons, and we always will be. Thank you.
And now, the moment we have all been waiting for. That time in the ceremony for the conferring of this year's diplomas. Mr. Jack Standa, Chair of the Board of Trustees, and Mr. Tim Carr, our head of school, will confer the diplomas. The students will be called to the stage by their counselors. It will take just a few moments to bring the diploma-laden table to the stage, so please thank you for your patience.
Venue. Vidya Agrawal. Zechariah Amin. Isabel Ainsley. Daria Miruna Konstantiniski. Su Min Kang. Jae-ho Kim. Kieran Knox. Yang Ji Nen. Nehan Milyadin. Matthew Ong. Marina Minenore. Nadia Desi Carolina Zerengo Ringo. Jacob Kanenta Senda. Rich Stibble. Ione Thompson. Etienne Andrew Mosey. Alexandra Anderson. Minori Alyagi. David Rizky Afianjisya. Arushi Baba. Yoon Bay. Adit Bagli. Alex Baker. Ji-Kyun J. Bang. Jared Baba. Julienne Chantal Barreto. Achi Barua. Joshua Beach. Philip Berg. Sanjana Ansari. Niraj Bamwani. Nikita Bamwani. Tanisha Bamwani. Henry Bergen. Kataba Paramita. Audrey Jayadi. Matthew Carey. Hannah Chalmers. Louisa Chang. Mark Chaya. John Du Cho.
Min Jung Choi. Sun Woo Choi. Ji-Woon Chu. Ashley Chung. Chesney Collier. Lewis Cook. Nisa Bolivia. Saffron Katu.
Jean-Pierre David. Katrina Dimalanta. Zainabu Diop. Daniel Dupre. Beatrice Erna. Ethan Fairchild. Charles Fury. Anna Marie Freeman. Nijam Kidardi. Jasmine Giles. Alice Urali. Marcia Bam Gofred. Kaya Gonzalez. Allison O'Malley Graham. Michelle O'Malley Graham. Sarah O'Malley Graham. Jerome Wow. Ashwin Gupta. Kumaka Gupta. Jacob Cable. Kevin Helen. Rakesha Haraha. Michael Christoph Harriman. Aspenza Arjukusumu. Sabrina Cardona. Patrice Carianto. Megan Hatton. Chisaru Hayakawa. Alani Alibers. Azuri Hayward. Oscar Blomqvist. June E. Kong.
Mustafa Ibrahim. Marisa Negaki. Brian Birawan. Natalie Ivanova. Anushka Jan. Aaron Jaffa. Unbi John. Tiara Joseph. Rama Joshi. Ju-An John. Yunju Jung. Anushka Kali. Sana Khan. Nisha Kater. Nicholas Koo. Datum Kim. Daniel Young Jun Kim. Un Young Kim. H.E. Kim. Hyun Jun Kim. Minju Kim. Minju Kim. Minju Kim. Younghyun Koo. Ria Kumakewa. Yannick Kuhn. Maika Kumada. Albert Corniati. Nadia Paul Lao. Nadia Lalane. Gonzalo Lequana. Kwasa Lee. Junbin Lee. Longshan Lee.
Namaskar Mahadevan. Sharpie Malhotra. Radhika Manwani.
Rainer Matthew. Kevin McNally. Diane McKibben. Shreya Mehta. Alyssa Lazar. Olivia Moravia Mello. Viraj Singh Narula. Saran Singh Narula. Zawar Nasir. Elisa Maxine Latini. Victoria Adriana Nava. Juan Nunez Lozada. Christopher O'Sullivan. Nico Poon. Allison Unforo. Etta Olson. Thomas Orhun. Eve Orhun. Joaquin Ortega Bobeta. Andre Paul. Hong Kong Park. Cindy Rose Harris. Garrett Passion. Justin Pejman. Ricky Penn. Sebastian Perez. Molly Louise Potter. Sean Howell. Rivero Destex. Anderson James Riley. Vincent Rodriguez. Ayush Sahai. Maria Nicolini Santoso. Bhumika Saxena. Elise Shermers. Paul Schwartz. Lucas Schubert. Kanisa Shah. Azealia Marissa Shankar. Ha Yong Shin. Jihei Jenny Shin. Jaewon Sim. Divyesh Sipani. Michael Sugrotto. Harrison Sugiatto. Wood Sutomo. Yama Song. Giselle Shosho. Ira Srivastava. Shannon Stewart. Jessica Rose Straker. Jillian Amelia Sue. Luciano Subiarso. Jongwon Soo. Advait Suresh. Brian Susanto. Nathaniel Sutrisno. August Franz Joseph Swihart. Christopher Takagi. Tambunan. Atreya Tata. Kira Thompson. Amelia Thorpe. Xi Yu Jian. Sabrina Cheong Clement. Diandra Jokrosaputro. Alan Fabrik. Amira Atifa Puno. Nandini Upadhyay. Sam Vanderwatering. Ksenia Varaksina. Natasha Marlin Voss. Andrea Alexia Velasco. Divan Wadwa. Emma Hurley Warren. Miku Watanabe. Nicholas Vijaya. Hannah Grace Wilcock. Tianza Singh. Ken Yong. Shirlene Young.
As we draw towards the closure of this graduation ceremony, I am so pleased to invite our final student speaker for the evening, Neer Handergaden, to deliver his farewell address. Please welcome him.
We are at the end. The end of the sleepless nights, staying up finishing that IA, or studying for that AP test. The end of Miss Weimer sending us emails asking about our attendance. The end of living within the comfort of our parents. We are at the end of our time at high school at JIS. JIS has been my home for the last 9 years. the school, the community, my friends, the teachers, it doesn't seem real for it to be all over. And though I was overcome with a sense of sadness when I first thought about it, the more and more I thought, the more and more I realized that this is only the beginning. JIS has set us up to be best for the world, to learn how to go through hardship and come out of the other side. All of you have what it takes to succeed in the future. Go chase after your dreams. Find the person you love. Make a movie, compose a song, start a business. Do what you want to do because all of you have done the hard work and you all deserve it. We are without a doubt set up to succeed in life. But above all, what I, and probably all of you will remember, are the people. The memories you have created here with the people that you love will last you a lifetime. So what I want you to do right now is to visualize a box in the back of your head. Think of the size, the design, the color, design it as you wish. Done? Now I want you to take all your memories with all the people in this room and in this school and fill the box up to the brim with all these stories, the lessons, the bands, the friendships. Fill this box up. Don't forget the hard times, the fights, the tears, because without those, you wouldn't be the person you are today. Close that box up. Now, though you may lose your Snapchat streaks or lose touch with the friends in your future, wherever you are, a lawyer, a banker, a doctor, a chemist, you name it, whenever you are going through tough time or hardship, or just want to remember it, I want you to open the box up. Remember all the joyous times you have endured, the lessons learned, all of it. Don't think of this as the end, because this is the beginning of a very bright future for all of us. Dream big, don't let anyone stop you, and remember and treasure these moments with the people that you love. Above all, remember that, always a dragon, once a dragon, always a dragon. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirhan, and thank you for reminding us to treasure our memories from this wonderful school. For our final speech for this graduation, it is my absolute pleasure to invite our head of school, Mr. Tim Carr, to come to the podium to address us all.
Good evening. A middle school colleague of mine reminded me that I have two jobs with this speech. One is to bring it home, and the other is to be mercifully brief. I will try to succeed with both. There have been some powerful themes that have been shared this evening by our student speakers, and in fact, they stole a lot of my thunder. And I'm delighted about that. In fact, there was a moment during Rick's speech where Barbara Weimers leaned over and said, "This must be making your head of school heart sing." It certainly did. And in fact, what I've seen this evening, what I've seen over the years with this group, has mostly been that. This is an amazing group of young people, and they give us all tremendous hope for the future. One of the powerful images that emerged from the speech, or their speeches, was that JIS is an extraordinarily special place. I've been coming to terms with that myself. This is a commencement for me, and I've been commencing with this group for the last 7 years. Some of them I met when they were in 6th grade, just starting out in the middle school. When people think about JIS, they often talk about it in glowing terms, and most of those are deserved. And some would say actually that JIS is indeed unique in all the world, and maybe even a unicorn. Or maybe the Gojek of schools. Unicorns, we're told by the Stanford Business School, are the ones that tend to run away from the herd. In Southeast Asia, those unicorns, I think, are called nagas. They fly in a very special configuration, and they tend to land in a certain kampung in Jakarta. That kampung is called JIS. One of our graduates, Irwan Sim, organized a series of TED Talks over the last few years. And the most recent one was Frames Unframed as a theme. That's one of the things that I think this group does extraordinarily well. They reframe ideas and arguments and challenges and problems for the future. And if there's a skill that you can think of with the various industries and organizations that are represented in our audience tonight, isn't that one of them? That they'd be able to see extraordinarily well into the future. That they can diagnose what's really going on, not just what they're being told by the media, by their friends, by their parents even. That they can learn to question and frame things in a very creative and appropriate way. John Dewey is one of my heroes in education. He said that I believe that education is a process of living and not a preparation for future living. And I think this group has really embraced that notion. They have lived the present extraordinarily well. They have embraced this opportunity that they've had at JIS for all it's worth. And I think they're going to be able to go forth into whatever greets them in university and in life beyond. And embrace it. Embrace it for all the good that it offers. And to bring a certain perspective to things. When I think of a couple of words to summarize and capture this group, I think of joyful pioneers. Those are two words from our vision. And those are reflected in many of the student speeches tonight. They tend to lead with compassion. They know how to cultivate and enjoy community. And they interact with love. All three of those themes were stressed tonight as well by our students, and that isn't surprising to me, because that's what I see them living on a day-to-day basis. They are people of vision. They are people who aspire to a future that's even better than the one we're experiencing now. And I think what I'm most grateful about is that they seem to be carrying forth a special lens on the world. Perhaps it's a JIS lens or a dragon lens or a way of seeing things again that is really healthy. There's a theologian called Cynthia Bourgault who says, how we see is what we see. So if we choose to see the good in others and situations, that is what we will see. I actually think that our Indonesian hosts have been extraordinarily helpful as well in modeling that idea. One of the first things I was struck by when I landed in Indonesia for the first time were the smiles. The joy that seemed to be on people's faces when I greeted them. And that has not waned. This is a culture that embraces one another. They embrace humanity. And that's had a huge impact on our learning environment, on our students and on our families here. And we're deeply grateful for Indonesia. Now, if I have a worry for this class, it's that you'll go off into the world and encounter problems that you'll feel are insurmountable for a short time. And I would invite you to think about your JIS lens. I went to the Booster Hut the other day and I got one of these accessories there that I now bet that you're all wishing you had. They're JIS glasses. And they put a certain lens on the world that's unmistakable. There's a certain sunniness to the world that they encounter when they're wearing these. There's a certain joy as well. I can't really see right now. And they go forth into this world with a special gift, and I think we in this room have it as well. We have seen intercultural community work. We've seen it work extraordinarily well, and it's mirrored by the 217 people on the stage right now. That does not happen frequently in the world, anywhere. And our world needs to tune into this moment and celebrate with us. These people now have an export product which is amazing. They know that this is possible. And they will go forth into places that are less diverse and less harmonious, and they're going to have to explain to people that indeed this can be. They're going to go forth and be ambassadors. They're going to be joyful pioneers going out into the world, and they're going to follow their dreams and invite other people to do the same. They're going to be brave. They're going to see the good in situations because they choose to. They're going to see the potential in challenge. They're going to see the opportunities in crisis. They're going to think back upon times when they actually transformed the situation themselves while at school. This group of students participated in singing at a courthouse, dancing for justice, chanting in solidarity at the fountain. Together, we stand in solidarity for all that is good in the world. They know that and they feel that. And now it's export time. And that's what I challenge us as a community is how can we share this good thing that we have? Because you're not going to find too many JISs out there. This is something to cherish, but it's something to give away as well. By your example, and by the way that you interact with people in the world. There's a tradition that I have in these speeches as well, and that is that we recognize the most powerful resource that we have when we go forth, and that's the one sitting next to you. So look to your right and to your left. Or you could mix that up. Reach out and grab the hand of the person next to you. They're a little slimy at the moment. Now raise your hands together. You are the unified, the amazing class 2017. If you all in the audience want to do that as well, you're very welcome. And no matter where you go in this world, you will indeed take the dragon spirit with you. And you need to realize as well that selalu anda semua bisa pulang kampung di JIS any old time.
And now, of course, the long-awaited moment, and class, you're doing a great job. The blood, the sweat, the tears, the shared laughter and joy have all brought us to this moment, and our student speakers have told us to be in the present, enjoy this moment. I invite Mr. Jack Standa, Chair of our Board of Trustees, to present to us, the JIS family, the class of 2017.
I get the best job of the night. Just a few quick thank yous. First, thanks to all of you for coming. I know some of you traveled from far away, and it's great to see you. We're so happy that you could be here with us tonight. And second, thanks to Barbara Weavers and all the people that worked so hard to pull this ceremony together. And now, graduates, please stand. Please move your tassel from right to left. Ladies and gentlemen, I would JIS Class of 2017.
Been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, Achilles and his gold, Achilles and his gifts, Spider-Man's control, and Batman in his face. And clearly I don't see myself upon that list. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. Oh, I want something just like this. I want something just like this. I've been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, the testaments they told, the moon and its eclipse, and Superman arose, the suit before he lived. But I'm not the kind of person that it fits. She said, where'd you wanna go? How much you wanna risk? I'm not looking for somebody with some superhuman gifts, some superhero, some fairy tale bliss, just something I can turn to, somebody I can miss. I want something just like